The following is an AZPM original production.
Arizona Science is supported by Research Corporation for Science Advancement.
For AZPM, I'm Leslie Tolbert, Regents Professor Emerita in Neuroscience at the University of Arizona, and this is Arizona Science. Today, our guest is Frank von Hippel, Professor of Environmental Health Sciences in our Mel and Enid Zuckerman College of Public Health. Frank's expertise sits at the intersection of environment, community, and public policy. Thanks for joining us, Frank.
Thanks for having me, Leslie.
So you have a very unusual background for a resident of Tucson. You grew up in Alaska. Tell us how growing up there has shaped your research interests.
Well, it's true. I was born and raised in Alaska, and unfortunately, we had a really great educational system when I was growing up. And then I left Alaska for college and graduate school, and actually my first academic job was at Biosphere 2. So I was based out of Tucson for a few years. This is when Biosphere 2 was a Columbia University campus. I was an assistant professor at Columbia. And then I went back to Alaska for 17 years before coming back here to Arizona.
So right now you have a project ongoing with tribes in the Aleutian Islands and Bering Sea, right, on pollution coming from huge numbers of Cold War installations, military installations. What kind of pollution are they dealing with?
Most people don't realize that the only land battles that occurred during World War II in the United States were in Alaska. So the Japanese invaded the Aleutian Islands. The United States built a road through Canada, and we had a major military operation up there. During World War II, the largest city, if you want to call that, in Alaska was the base on Adak Island, which was the forward base for the counteroffensive against the Japanese forces. So we have military installations dating all the way back to World War II. And then, of course, after the war, we went into the Cold War, and the entire Arctic was ringed with these over-the-horizon radar installations and Air Force bases and you name it. And there's a lot of pollution associated with these military sites. So that's our focus with tribes in the Aleutian and Bering Sea Island region.
And you're calling this community-based participatory research. It seems like such a no-brainer, really, to involve people in helping to ask the questions that should be asked, as well as helping you to answer them. How is that working?
Basically, it means that the community is driving the research. They're the ones who are developing the questions they want addressed, the problems they want addressed, and they actually own the data. So we do the work. We go back and report to the tribe the results. They participate in all aspects of it, from forming the questions to participating in the research to then going to the state capitol or the U.S. capitol or going to the Stockholm Convention congresses every few years and advocating for their communities.
And how effective has it been so far? What kind of impact are they having as they ask these questions?
It's a great question. These are long-term problems where there's been decades of pollution on the site. And so first we have to characterize what pollutants are there, which we've done for many of these communities. And then you have to figure out what to do about it. And that could involve getting the Army Corps of Engineers to clean up the site. So that's what happened on St. Lawrence Island. Or it might involve having health assessments done by the federal government to determine what are the health consequences and what can be done for community health. So there's a variety of practical solutions that have to be implemented once the problem has been described.
In addition to your field work, you also work with wildlife and even laboratory animals as models for human exposure to toxic substances. How does that work? How does it extend or confirm your findings with human populations?
We mostly use fish, but sometimes other animals to study the impacts of pollution on people. And you might say, why would you study this in a fish? But it turns out that fish have very similar biology to us. So about 70% of the genome of a fish is the same as a human genome. The hormone system is the same, and the developmental biology is the same. And so when we want to look at things like what is the effect of a pollutant on gene expression in different tissues in the body, you obviously cannot do that with people. You need to do that with an animal model. And we found that fish actually make an excellent model for this. And you can couple studies in the field with studies in the lab to really get at the mechanisms of toxicity.
Well, thank you very much for sharing your research and insights with us. This is such important work to be done.
Thank you, Leslie.
Frank von Hippel is a leading expert in environmental health sciences with a special focus on Alaska, where he was raised. You can listen to this and all Arizona Science conversations at azpm.org/Arizona Science. I'm Leslie Tolbert.
Thank you to Research Corporation for Science Advancement for their support of Arizona Science. AZPM podcasts are made possible in part by donations from listeners like you. Learn more at support.azpm.org. Thank you.